Okay, I think we'll get started now. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bonnie. I'm the Solution Advisor in our Burnaby office here. And I just wanted to welcome everybody to our Wednesday webinar for this month. Today we are going to be focusing on all things mobile with the CORESUITE products from coresystems. If someone could just type in the chat there to make sure that I'm being heard okay, that'd be great. Perfect. Okay, perfect. I will hand this over to Artie, who is the General Manager for CORESYSTEMS here. Artie, I'm just going to unmute you, and you can take it over.
Hi, Bonnie. Thank you for the introduction, and welcome, everybody. Can you make me presenter? Perfect. Great.
Yeah.
Let's get started here. And if you could verify that you can see my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen and hear me fine?
Yep, we can. Perfect. Thanks, Artie.
Okay, perfect. Great. So if you have any questions, you can always type them in the chat window, I believe, and then Bonnie can monitor them. And then we will also have a Q&A at the end of the session. So what I'm going to start with is a couple of slides to give you an overview and, give you some background information, and then we're pretty quickly going to dive into the actual product so that you can see the product in action. So first of all, again, welcome to the presentation, and thank you, Bonnie, for setting all this up. I myself am the General Manager of our business unit for North America. I'm based out of New York. That's where I am right now. So first we're going to start with an introduction and overview. Then we're going to go through the sales process. As Bonnie said, it's about all things mobile. So for mobile field sales, then the main focus is also going to be for service, professional services. We're also going to introduce our resource planner, how you can schedule your resources with our planner, and then how does, of course, all of this information come back into SAP to close the circle. At the end, we're going to have a Q&A, but again, you can feel free to put your questions in the chat as well. So to start with some facts on CORESYSTEMS so that you get a bit an idea of what the company is about. The company was founded back in 2006 in Switzerland. I'm from Switzerland. I used to work at the headquarters and then moved to the U.S. to set up our business for entire North America. We're an SAP solution provider, so we focus on really only developing add-ons and enhanced functionality for your solutions when you work with SAP Business One. So we do not resell SAP Business One. We work with such key such as closed range systems, for instance. We work with SAP. So essentially, the cockpit interface, which you might have seen in SAP Business One, that's something which we co-developed with SAP. We developed the prototype for them. So also this should give you, a little bit of background on the quality of our development. Then Gartner, very famous IT analyst, announced us as cool vendor, which was a big honor for a small company as us. So we really focused on innovation and bringing the next generation technology to our partners and customers. Our vision is to be #1 business app vendor for ERP solutions. We have had and we have a very strong focus on SAP as ERP system and on SAP Business One within SAP. So we really focus on requirements of small and middle-sized enterprises and what their needs are in the course of running their business with SAP Business One. We have over 120 employees worldwide. Our headquarters, as I mentioned, is in Switzerland. Then we have the subsidiary in the US, Germany, UK, Brazil, and so on. So we're represented worldwide. We have a network of 400 partners worldwide, so experts of 3,000 people who are, expertise people in CORESUITE. This is important for you to know. So Coastal Range is also one of our highly certified partners. They did a training just a couple of months ago for their entire team, so they're really well equipped and can help you with the maximum value in regards to our solution. Users, this is also important for you to know. We have over 5,500 customers. This is only Business One, and around 70,000 CORESUITE users. So for you, of course, this is also important to know. It's a widespread stable solution which is used around the globe. So that just a little bit to CORESYSTEMS. Now to CORESUITE, our product portfolio. So we have various products, but we're going to focus on a small package today. So basis is always SAP Business One. On top of that, we have the CORESUITE country package, which some of you, I'm sure, already have. It's like a horizontal bundle which contains document delivery, customization, reporting, dashboards, and so on. Then we're going to look at CORESUITE Time a little bit in conjunction with CORESUITE Mobile for Services. We also have a CORESUITE Cube, which we won't be looking at today. That's pivot table analysis of your SAP data in Excel, so you can slice and dice data very easily in an Excel pivot table. And then, of course, focal point is CORESUITE Mobile. So here's some details on CORESUITE Mobile before we go into the actual product. I think it's important that you understand how the process works. So obviously the idea is that you have your Business One data on the go, that you can access your company data anywhere, anytime. One of the key aspects is that it can really be used right away, so you don't require any additional infrastructure, middleware, or server. And through that, you know, versus some of you might have tried out the standard Business One application, one of the key differences there, of course, is that it does not work with the integration component with the B1I server. So really the whole setup is not middleware or server based. Through that technology, actually, the data is available offline as well, so you do not need any internet or network connection to view or write data. Now, what does that mean? That means if I want to check in some business partner information, or I want to create a quote, or I want to create an opportunity, or track my time and expenses, I do not actually need to be connected to the internet or a network to be able to do that. So the app runs offline as well, so I can do that in the plane or in the subway or wherever I essentially want to work on that. Then also licensing, so you get one license per user and you can use it on multiple devices, iPhone, iPad, laptop. The dashboards which you see here, they're customizable, so they're query-driven dashboards, so you can very easily write queries and essentially be able to display them on your system. The technology behind it is the CORESUITE Cloud, so essentially it works with the cloud technology. All the data is highly encrypted, all connections are SSL encrypted. Also, one of the key aspects is that the data stays on-premise. So your original data stays on your server, and only a copy of the data that you choose to synchronize is sent to the cloud. Of course, you can also set permissions in terms of data ownership. You can say which users are allowed to view which modules. Maybe you have some users who are not allowed to view price lists, or you want to make sure that sales reps can only view accounts or leads which are assigned to them, as well as service reps and so on. So you can set permissions. You can say who's allowed to edit pricing on the mobile device, who's allowed to give discounts, and so on. User interfaces, we're definitely mainly on the Apple stream. That's also the highest demand we're getting, so iPhone, iPad, and also very valuable, we have a Silverlight desktop client for the laptop, which also runs offline as well. So, you know, at some point you might get tired of using touchscreen all the time, so you can actually do the work on your laptop as well with the same license and, you know, enter quotes and orders and stuff on the Silverlight client. And this runs on Windows and Apple, so that gives you a lot of flexibility. Now we have two main modules with regards to mobility, CORESUITE Mobile for Sales. Essentially, that's the business partners and leads on the mobile device, view stock and pricing information, enter quotes, orders, opportunities. You can also, once an order is confirmed, for instance, you can capture a signature as well, which is very important to many customers that they have confirmation. Then with regards to CORESUITE Mobile for Services, this is connected with CORESUITE Time, right? So with CORESUITE Time, you can manage time and services, material and expenses. So it's really, on one hand, a regular resource management tool. So my employees can clock in, clock out. I can manage that. But it's also an evaluation tool in terms of, okay, how much time did I actually spend on a service call or on an opportunity or on a sales order? In the service scenario, we then have a billing wizard that at the end of the day, you can just, with the wizard, invoice all your open service calls, include times, the cost for the time spent on them, any expenses, and any material. So it's really a lean project management tool in terms of services. And now, of course, if you combine CORESUITE Time, which is a license in SAP, with essentially CORESUITE Mobile for Service, then you can have your technicians do all this information on the mobile as well. So in the end, you can In the end, you can essentially go in here and you can either do it within SAP if you only have a CORESUITE time license, or if you want your mobile service technicians to enter the time, expenses, and material on the mobile itself, you can do that here as well. You can even create and assign service calls on the mobile. Then our, if you go here, our latest edition, this has really gotten very great feedback from our North American partners. We've got a couple of large customers using the solution already as well. So this is really so that if you have, you know, resources and you need to schedule your service calls, this is a planning tool where with simple drag and drop, you can see all your service calls here, you can see all your resources here, and with drag and drop, you can assign it to various technicians. So this is how you can see how this works. Now these are all just slides to give you the information to start with. We're now actually going to go directly into the product so that you can see it live right here. So we're now going to go into the live demo. Let me close my slides here. Did you get it? I'll close this alert as well. So we're going to start with actually my iPad simulator. You can see here. So that's why I'm actually running a Mac and a virtual machine so that I can show you this environment, a simulated iPad. So what you can see here, I'm going to walk you through the modules, and we're going to start with the mobile flow for sales, so the sales module. So first of all, on the home screen, you have your dashboards. As you can see here, you have like basic dashboards in a gauge chart, revenue year to date, customer performance in a pie chart, revenue by country, and stuff like that. Then you also have a column chart, as you can see right here. So these are the three formats which you have: pie, column, and gauge chart, and these can be very easily modified. So these dashboards here are simply query driven. So you can write or have Coastal write for you a query against any data in SAP, and essentially it then can be displayed on your mobile device using these three formats. Also, you have essentially here your alerts from your SAP Business One. So they're just simply synchronized here. You can see them in a calendar view, or you can see them in a list view right here. So these are your alerts from SAP which are synchronized. If I go into the business partner module, you can see right here I have all my business partners. So if I go to one of my regular demo customers, you can see right here microchips. You can see here I have all.
Sorry, there's a little bit of a lag with the screen and what you're saying, so maybe just give it a little bit more time in between, if you could.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
What screen are you seeing now?
We just got onto microchips.
Okay, so I'll just go a little slower.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so we're all now on the microchips screen. Maybe if I go back here, what I did is I just, I'm here in the business partner module. We looked at the dashboards here, the alerts right here, and here's the business partner screen where I have all my modules. You can also see I have microchips as one of my favorites, so I marked them as favorites, so I have them here in my shortcut either way. You can see here I have all the information on microchips right here, and again this runs totally offline, so I could view this information in the subway, in the plane, or whatever. I don't need to be connected to any server to read or write information. So I can see all their information, their correct. I could send an email directly from here. It would open an email and stuff like that. I can even take it on the individual contact level. So if I go in here and I see Judy Brown, I can see all the information on Judy Brown, my contact on the business partner, all the activities related to Judy Brown, and so on. If I go here, you can see I even have the shipping address. So you can see here, I can see direct locations, and I can then open the map to get the actual directions. How do I get to actual microchips? What is also very key is I have the entire history on the customer available here as well. So all activities, all orders, service calls, any opportunities. I even have like the main KPIs like account balance, opportunities, and of course important for you, UDFs are supported on these modules as well. User-defined fields which you might be having. Those are supported on the mobile device itself. So you can see here that you have all the information now. So on one hand, I can see existing information, which you can see right here, but on the other hand, I can also, with the plus here, you can also add manually. Let's say you're at a show, right? You're at a convention, for instance, or we're at this demo, right? I can either add a lead from my address book because I scanned their particular contact here. or I can go in and add it manually. So I go in here, I add the lead manually. Am I okay on the speed now, Bonnie, or are you guys still having delay?
It's a tiny bit of a lag, but we're able to catch up still. Like it's just going to adding the business partner manually.
Okay. Okay, so I'll try to go slower. Okay, so you can add this business partner right here. I'm adding a lead, let's say here, so I can say, okay, the lead is, for instance, it's called Webinar Wednesday, for instance, just so that we can recognize it. That's our lead name. You see the type is automatically the lead. I can assign a price list to this particular lead, so I can see base price, discounter price, what type of price list. We'll just give the regular sales price list. I can assign the lead to a group, so I can say is it a customer, construction, and so on. So I'll take it as a customer. Then here, based on the business card, assuming I would meet you, I could add your office number, phone number, and so on. So I can add a lot of information right here. Email address, I can say met at webinar. That's how I generated the lead. Here I can add addresses, and again, you can see user-defined fields are supported as well. Then I can go here and I can add a contact. And I can see here, let's say the contact is Bonnie. Go right here and go right here, and I can add the contact right here. Then here I could, of course, also add additional information with regards to the actual contact that I'm adding right here as well. So now I've added the new lead right here. You can see I have the information and I have everything here. Now, assuming I had this session with you or I met you at this particular event, I want to make sure that I actually follow up with you a week later. So what I can do is directly with this function button, I can create an activity, right? And these are SAP objects, right? You'll be able to track everything in SAP. We'll see that once we synchronize. So we create an activity, and the activity is a task. Go right here. I'm trying to go slow so that you can follow the screen. So you can see here the subject is follow up, right? On this particular lead, which I just created, I need to follow up. You see it automatically takes the business partner and the contact. I can say when I should follow up. So I can say, let's say I want to follow up next Monday right here and put in the timing. I can set myself a reminder. The reminder will come in as an alert in SAP, let's say 30 minutes before. Then the address, which we of course haven't defined. I can say again, my note for this is the webinar, right? I can even add a voice note, which I think is really nice. Let's say there were some specific questions essentially, or there's some certain specific things which I need to track after a conversation with the lead. I can add a voice note, which then also centrally gets stored in SAP Business One. So I can go here and I can actually save this lead. This audio note, I can use it. You can even add a photo, which I think is really nice. If you get some of these business cards, then you can take a photo, and it just also lightens up the conversation. I cannot do that with the simulator, but with the regular iPad, you can just take a photo. So now you can see on this particular lead right here, I now have this activity with the follow-up scheduled for next week on Monday, right, on July 23rd. Now we've done that. Now the next thing what we would want to do is create an opportunity, right? SAP opportunity management, that we can actually track this particular lead. So I can go in here and I can say, okay, I want to create an opportunity. The opportunity name is CORESUITE Mobile. Just go in here. So we're now on the opportunity screen. I hope you're there as well. Then I can estimate the amount of the lead, let's say 10,000. I can do the progress, how far am I essentially in opportunity management, the start date and the planned end date. Again, here I can have Webinar Wednesday is my reference, WW. The salesperson I can select, that would be myself. I'm Jason Butler in my system. I can go in, I can define the interest level, I can select the contact, which is Bonnie, that's the one we described, and again, any user-defined fields. So now I have directly on the mobile, again, this could be in plane or anywhere offline, I've created the lead, I've created the follow-up activity, which will remind me to follow up with the voice note, and I've created an opportunity. So let's now go further. So now obviously if I go into business partner and webinar, you can see here, Webinar Wednesday, we have it right here, right? Then if I go into activities, you'll see I have all my activities in my system, and here of course I'll see the one we schedule for next Monday, the webinar follow-up with the actual voice note, which you have right here as well. So you have all your information here. You can also directly with the plus create a new activity directly from here. We've done that already, so we will not do that again. Then in the opportunities module, you can essentially see all your opportunities right here. So you can see here all your different opportunities, and if I scroll down, you'll be able to see the latest opportunity which we just created for CoreSuite Mobile for 10,000, which we created right now essentially. So you can see this right here. Then service calls we're going to look at in the service flow. Now, assuming you decide to buy right away, I would need to check, okay, do I have this product at all in stock, and what's the pricing situation? So let's say you want to buy the product. I can go in here and I can directly see, okay, all my product information. I can see the vendor. I can see any pricing related to it, all the important information, and of course also stock information, what is available, what is committed, and in which warehouse is it available. So you can see here it's all related to the general warehouse. So in this module you can see all your item and stock information and whether the item's in stock. Then either your customer can ask you to create a quote, and then you would afterwards create an order. In our case, we're not, just because it's almost the same thing, we're going to go in and create an order. Assuming we created the lead, we did the follow-up, we created the opportunity, and now the customer has decided to buy. So we go into sales order. You can go right in here. Then here we select the business partner. So you can see here, Wednesday, webinar Wednesday. See here, the contact would be Bonnie. We haven't yet found the billing and shipping address. That would take too much time, but you could, for instance, also have that synchronized into SAP, and your back office then fill in the details on this particular customer. You don't have to fill in all the phone and shipping information and so on directly on your mobile device. You can just create the lead and have the back end do the rest. Payment and shipping type, and then, of course, here you can see your reference number. We can just put 123 so that we have something in there. You can here put the salesperson, which again would be me, Jason Butler, and the note would again be, this is the result from Webinar Wednesday, right? Then, of course, the UDFs, user-defined fields, which I can fill in, which are your fields which you have in your system. And here I can go in, and now I need to add the item, right? What am I selling? So I can say, okay, I'm selling this particular product. I can add the amount, add a new line. And the nice thing is here, you'll see it directly tells me with the green or the red whether the item is in stock or not. It gives me the amount. And on the line level, if I double click, I can here say, okay, what's the quantity? I can override the pricing. Let's say I want to give you a steep discount, and I can give you also an additional discount on this right here. Now, of course, with permissions, you can define who is in the end allowed to override pricing and who's allowed to, give discounts and stuff like that. So you can, in permissions, you can define that. So you have this right here. Then I could, for instance, add another item where, again, the same thing would apply. So here I can give line level discounts, and here I could give a global discount. I go in here and I can say, okay, I want to additionally give 50% discount on the entire order, so it equals to 6,300. Important is you can either add your items manually, or if you work with barcodes, you can work with a barcode scanner as well, that you essentially scan the barcode and it automatically adds it to the sales order. So now you have your items, and essentially you're all set. You can save it. Now it gets saved in your draft as a status draft. You could also directly save it as a ready order. That means it's ready to be synchronized. In our case, we did a draft. This allows you to still edit the sales order. You can duplicate the sales order. Now in our case, we want to actually get the signature from the customer, right? We want to make sure that this is actually really their thing. So I'm just forward your initials. Apologize here. And I can ask for a rating. So you can say, okay, was I happy with the service or not? Let's assume Bonnie was happy with my service. So I can go in here and I have all this information in here. And now the nice thing is, let's say, Bonnie directly would want a printout or an export of this particular sales order before I actually leave her. I can go here. We're now going to go into export, I can go in here, and then here you can have a custom title, confirmation, custom note, custom logo, right? This is just a regular image from your iPad, so I can go in here and say, okay, what is the logo? Actually, what do I want to have on the printout? I want everything, the prices, the taxes, and then here I can go on preview, and it's going to generate the order confirmation for me right here. So you can see here, I can see my reference, I can see the contact information of the customer, I can see the discounts which I've given, all the details. I mean, now we have a very basic report quickly. And here I can see the signature integrated into the actual document. So this is really powerful. Everything you can do in one flow very easily. And then here, of course, you can go in and then, I can either print if I have an iPad compatible printer, or I can directly email it to Bonnie right there by entering her email address. You can essentially do this whole cycle direct from your mobile device. And then, of course, in the end, afterwards, what you need to do is mark as ready. So now I'm committing the sales order. It goes into the Ready tab, and now you see this button was way before. This is now ready. Means something we created on the mobile device is essentially still has to be synchronized. And this is the only moment you need to be online. When I press on this button, because now the information from your mobile device is being sent to the cloud, and then from the cloud, you see, is going to be sent into SAP Business One. And we're in the second step then going to see how does all this information come into SAP Business One. So that's kind of the sales flow which I wanted to show you, the creation of a lead, the creation of a opportunity, follow-up activity, creation of a quote, checking item and stock information, order, getting the signature, and then the other thing is with our CORESUITE country package. Now you can say, okay, as soon as a signed sales order gets synchronized with Business One, I automatically want a confirmation email to be sent out to the customer, or I automatically want an invoice to be generated based on that. So you can really take that information and take the information coming in from the mobile and automate processes within SAP which you want to happen based on that information. So it's really powerful. But the country package is a separate, but you can automate stuff a lot also within SAP once it's done. So that was the sales flow. Now let's go into the service flow. So that has a different origin, right? I have now in SAP, if you can see my screen. Can you confirm quickly, Bonnie, that you can see my SAP screen?
Yep, we can.
Okay, perfect. So now I'm in SAP, and the usual case is, right, somebody is going to call the backend and say, hey, I have an issue. Can you please create a service call, right? So in this case, I already pre-created a service call. I'll just open it up so I can go in here, and essentially here I created my coffee machine is leaking, which is a high priority one for the customer microchips, and in the remark I have coffee machine is leaking, kitchen is flooded, and so on. So I just pre-created the service call 172 essentially. So you can go in here, and now I have to dispatch this to my technicians, right? I want to know who shall handle this here. By default, I just have Jason Butler, but who is the actual? So for this, we actually have a tool, which firstly I would like to show you the map, which is a part of the CORESUITE Resource Planner. So here I can see the status and the location of all my technicians. So I can see their location, are they available, are they not. Now where does it get this information from? If we go back to our simulator, as you can see here, I have here a thing which says, okay, I'm busy, I'm in the coastal range webinar. In this with location, it gives my location and my actual status. So if I go here and I go on Butler Jason, you see about an hour ago I updated this because I was busy preparing for the webinar, and it gives me my future assignment, my current status, and that I'm busy. So if I would come here, I can essentially go back in here, and now let's just change the state. We'll say away and we'll say blocked, right? We don't want to be disturbed at all. I can go in here, it's going to send my location, and essentially if I refresh here, you'll see in a moment that it's actually going to tell me that you're no more busy, but you're actually in the red and you're blocked. So essentially this is how I can see the availability of my different reaches, as well as, of course, you can see not than a minute ago, it tells me I'm blocked. Now the resource planner itself is really powerful. So if I go here, I can see my different resources right here, right? I can see all my different resources. I can see it in a different timelines, 12-hour, 4-hour, 2-hour. I can see their assignments, their current assignments right here. And down here, I can see all my different service calls which need to be assigned. In our case, it's the 172, the coffee machine one. So I can see, oh, okay, he's busy, tomorrow morning, but he's actually free here. So I can just simple drag and drop. I can assign service call to him. And you will see if I double click here, you'll see it has all the details, the coffee machine, the location. I can here say, is it been to the technician yet? No, it hasn't. Announced to the customer that the technician is coming out. Is a permission system necessary for this to work? Like, are there permit documents? Is there any equipment related to it? The status of the assignment, any remarks which I put in, of course, and the change log, right? What actually happened. So here I can assign it to the actual technician. I can also print the service call directly from here. I can email it directly as well. Let's say I wanted to email it to the technician, and here, of course, the language. And in this case, I can just release it. I'm actually releasing it to the technician, so he has the information right here. So I can now assign it to him. And I have all this information, and once I synchronize, it's actually going to send this information to the technician's mobile device that he knows this is his assignment for today based on his availability. So this is one thing, the planning stage, where I can really, with easy drag and drop, I can, assign service call. I can go here, I can see my resources, I can go into a 1-hour timeline, I can go 4 hours, 12 hours, whatever that may be, where I can see all this information right here. And here I have all my resources in the system. We also have a tab here called service calls, where I just in general can see all my service calls directly in the mobile device, in the resource planner as well. In the latest version, you'll even be able to create service calls directly to the resource planner. So I do in this system, created it here, just here. In the new version, you can even actually create it directly from here. I also can view all my customers here, so I have all the details here as well in the resource planner. All equipment which could be related to service calls is here as well. So I have service calls themselves, customers, equipment, and here again, of course, all the resources which I have in my system as well. So if I go here, wherever Donna Brown may be, it essentially takes her current location and give me the details. In the settings, this is an important tab here we could spend a lot of time on. I'm going to try to keep it essentially in the set. You can here, do things like what are my actual automatic things, what scenarios do I cover, like do you have different territories, regions, like we have one customer who work with zip code areas and have resource assigned to the area essentially, that they have a particular view, maybe view is a better word rather than scenarios. Then what do the color mean, what are default materials in conjunction with service call types. You can also define workflow steps, so it allows you to essentially go in and show you different steps in your workflow, different reservation types. So obviously you would in the planner also see, is somebody on vacation, is somebody on leave, working hours, and so on. So this is really a part where, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to Bonnie that she can explain the details in here, because here you can kind of, define materials, workflows, different scenarios. And this area, essentially the planning area, is of course the key way to assign it to different resources to be able to see exactly who's available, who's working on what. Go back to the map. Again, you can see the map you can also access from here. So it's a part of the resource planner. I can now go on the service call, for instance. Maybe really quick. I can go on the service call and I will now be able to check who is actually my nearest person or my nearest available person for the service call. So if I go in here and I just search for coffee right here, so you can see coffee machine is Leeskin, responsible is Dr. J, right? We just signed it to him. And then I can here also check again, okay, what's the status, right? And see here, okay, microchips, current assignment, see, it has been to him. This is his thing. But his future assignment is this. Then Don has the repair printer assignment, and Juan has another printer issue problem printer, and when is it assigned to. So here I can really also get the nearest employees. I can create a whole route. So I can say, regardless of this, let's go out here. I can say, okay, add to route point, microchips, SGL electronics, add to route point. So let's take that away quickly. Move the code. Here we go. Say SG Electronics and so on. So I can really go in and create actual route points and get a route for them, which they're interested. So I can go here. I can say calculate optimized route, and it'll give me direction. So this is the way how I will dispatch it. So in our case now, we've dispatched Jason Butler. Okay, so the backend stuff is done. The customer called in. We created the service call in SAP, right? We checked the availability on the map as well as on the resource plan, and we dispatched it to Jason Butler. Now Jason Butler is out in the field. Either we send it to him via email or he goes into his application right here, right? Now we're back on the mobile device, and he needs to synchronize to get the information on his device. He goes in here, and now we're going into this area which we said before, right? Service calls. Oh, sorry, scroll to my service calls. So I go in here. Now you can see for today, July 18th, caffeine is leaking. He has all the details on the service call, the priority, the customer details. You can, of course, drill down into the contact details, Judy Brown. You can see all the details here, any activities. You see that, of course, the assignment which he got. Here you can see he got an assignment to work on this from this to this time, so he can see he already has an activity on it. And of course, any type of user-defined field which you essentially might want in your service call. Now the regular flow, how people essentially work with the service solution is they get the assignment, right? They have it in their calendar. You would, by the way, also see it in his calendar here, right? Because the assignment we created in the resource planner comes in as an activity. So I can see it right here. So the first thing what he will do is he will say, okay, I'm actually working on the service call. So he creates an activity saying, okay, this is the task I'm doing. Right here, the subject is fix coffee machine. Right here, you can say who's responsible, obviously Jason Butler, then the service call, it takes automatically the business partner as well, and then the contact person, which would be Judy Brown. Now here I can, okay, when do I plan working on it? Maybe, you know, I think it will only take an hour or only take 2 hours. I can go in here and I can say, okay, I'm working on it from 2 to 3. I'm just giving an example. Here again, I can set myself here, like with all activities. I can give the address where am I actually going to work on it. So you can go. I can say the note, I'm going to be on site, right, so that they know that. Then I can add a voice note or a photo, as we saw before when we were creating an user-defined field. Then we have the activity. Now we have estimates on how much are we actually going to work on the service call, but now we're actually going to start working on it. So we need to track our time. So we go here and we say create effort. That means the service call, I'm working on it. I have different type of labor methods. Is it internal, production, service? Now this is where CORESUITE time comes in. These values it takes from CORESUITE time within SAP. So I go in here and I say, okay, it's a service charge. I can go in and I can again say it's on site. We go in here and then I can say is it chargeable or not. Now I can either do this with the stopwatch, which we're going to do, or retrospectively, manually, where I can say, okay, I started then, I ended at 5, and what is my break, and it automatically calculates the work time. Now we're just going to do the stopwatch, so we start working, and in the back end, the product or the clock is actually ticking. So I go out here, you know, I put my iPad obviously away, I'm going to work on the service, and then whenever I'm done, I go back into my iPad. You can see here now we have a new tab called All Efforts, and in the back end you can see the clock is ticking. I can also define a break, which would then, you know, be deducted from the entire duration. I can see the start time. We're not just going to up here, it's going to round up to 1 minute because that's the only thing what actually makes sense. So we round it up to 1 minute. You can see right here. And now we have the time track which we actually worked on the service call. Now, of course, I obviously had some expenses because I was on site, so I can directly from here also create expenses. Again, it automatically takes the object and the business partner. I can say what type of expenses are there. That's also something you would define in CORESUITE time. Let's say travel expense. I can select the currency. I can say, okay, my hotel night was $100, but I want to charge $150, the external amount. And then I can say, okay, this was Hotel Hilton, just for my reference right here. So I can create the expense right here as well. I can save it. Last but not least, of course, I can either create mileage, right, if I had to drive, or create material. Let's say I had to replace something while fixing the coffee machine. So directly from here, again, all this as well, you can see the item which was used. Let's say we can go here, whatever, and then you can see it automatically takes the unit price, I click quantity, it'll calculate the total. I can select the warehouse. So you're using it with your own truck. For instance, that's your warehouse. You would have a warehouse called truck. And now here you can see replace item in machine, right? Replacement right here. So now if I go back onto my server, what has actually happened, you can see I have the activity which we created, I have the time which we tracked, the expenses, and the material. I'm actually done with all this. Now last but not least, of course, what I would want to have also here is the signature from the customer confirming I was happy with the service and this is my signature. So I can save it right here. And here the same thing. I can go and I can export the document. I want to give him the comment, add all the material here, whatever I want to have on it. And now this preview will obviously be a little more elaborate, and I think this is really powerful. So I have here the confirmation with all the contact information of the customer, the subject of the service call, the status, the type, the details. I have the time spent the service call, any material, any activities, and of course down here the actual signature. And here the thing we saw before, either printed directly from the mobile device, or I can email it from the device and send it to the customer right there. So this is really powerful. The whole flow has been, so that we can recap it, the backend receives a call from the customer, creates the service call, dispatches the service call based on the map and the resource planner. The technician has all the details on his mobile device on the service call, can track his activity, what he's doing, track his time that he spent, track material, expenses, and essentially provide the customer with the confirmation directly here as well. Now last but not least, we want to build this, of course, as soon as possible. So this information needs to be synchronized into SAP. You see our button has gotten red again. So I go in here, and this is the moment where I need to be online, and this information gets synchronized into the backend system. Now while this is happening, let's finish the modules, which we can see right here. The efforts, this is key. You can see now for today, we have the time we tracked today, right here for the coffee machine is leaking object, but I could also track time on different objects, on a project, on an opportunity, an order, a business partner, and so you can not only track time on an object, on a service call, also on another object. The same thing also, of course, with expenses and material. I can add expenses on a business partner, on an order, on a quote, or anything like that. Work time is different to efforts in terms of efforts is tracking time on an actual object, and work time essentially is for being able to just track presence, absence, vacations, like really clock in, clock out. And this is really powerful as well for people who don't need to do anything else except track time, that they don't have to always log into SAP, but can actually use here directly as well. So time also comes with this as well. Then we also support approvals for those of you working with SAP approvals. So we also support the whole approval process on mobile. Employee module, you can see all your employees and their current locations. As we saw, Butler Jason, you can see exactly where he's located and all the details for him as well. In the reports tab, if we go down here, you can see all the dashboards which get out of the box and additional dashboards.
Sorry, just give us 1 second. It's lagging a little bit. Okay, reports, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So in the report tab, that's the menu right here, you essentially can directly all the dashboards which are there out of the box. If we create custom dashboards, as I said, those are very easily modifiable in terms of with your actual queries in SAP. Those you can view here as well and put them on your home screen. So that's kind of the process which I wanted to show you in terms of what happens on the device, what can you do on the mobile device and with the resource planner. And now we come to the kind of closing part of it. How do you work with all this information in SAP, right? How does everything come together? So for that, Let's switch our screen and go back into SAP right here. Our alerts came up. Let's go in here, close this. So essentially what we do is we're first going to see how did the information. Firstly, maybe let me show you this. This is a cloud connector. This is the only thing you need to install to have this synchronization work. So this really shows you how is the information being transferred, and you and essentially has the information into the cloud. You can see here it's receiving objects. So this is what we send mobile. Now it's sending objects. So this is the only thing you need for the connection to work. Now we're first going to go into the sales flow, right? We created the opportunity. We created all that stuff. So let's go into our sales cockpit. So we go in here, and this is the enterprise search, by the way. This is like a Google search within SAP, very powerful tool. This is a part of the country package. I'm just showing it to you because it's much easier. So if I go in here and I type in red, right? I just typed in red. It already gives me a suggestion what I'm probably looking for. Webinar events, because the synchronization has happened already. The data is there. So webinar, Wednesday, and the contacts. I go in here. You'll see I essentially have all the information which we created on the mobile device on Webinar Wednesday. So I have the actual business partner, which was created as a lead, as you can see right here. Here I can see the contact person, Bonnie. I can see the remarks. We said met at webinar and so on. Then you can, of course, have your backend fill in all this additional information. Responsible is Jason Butler, of course. So the lead is created. The contact is right here with the right click, but also directly from here, take action, create another activity or opportunity or delivery. I can view with a double click the information. I can find the information. And if I go on activities, you'll see here we created, remember, follow-up note right here. Go in attachments, remember we had a voice note which we created. So that comes in as an attachment on the actual activity, which you can see right here. So it's an actual voice note which you have, which comes and centrally is stored that you can actually add. The other activity is the signature, right? We had a signature on the sales order, and here you have an image which comes in, right? The actual signature which I tried to do on the sales order. So everything synchronizes into SAP, and then if I go here, you can see I have the opportunity which I created, and I here additionally have the sales order would be created as well. So we can here, and close this, and go here, and now I have the actual sales order. You see, it's very straightforward. It comes in with regular SAP documents, and as I said, I could now say, okay, as soon as signed order comes in, automatically an invoice is generated, right? So you can really go to a step where you can automate a lot of processes here. So we have here the remark written. You can see the items. You see here the actual discounts which we give, and so on. So there's a lot of information, and you can directly work with this sales flow directly from here. So this is all the information which we created in terms of the sales flow with the actual Webinar Wednesday customer which we created. Now what happens with the actual service call which we worked on, right? We need to see there also how the expenses come in, what actually happens. So we go in here. And the customer was Microchips, if you remember. So now here again, let's say I don't remember Microchip's name. I can just do the asterisk search, and it's going to search all information in the system which has Microchips in it. And you see it doesn't give you the results just randomly, alphabetically, or chronologically, but really according to the logic of SAP Business One, right? So I have all service calls, contracts, invoices, and so on. So let me go latest service call, which you can see right here, high priority. Again, with a double click, I can access the data. So we go in here. So this is the service call which we dispatched, right? So I can go in here, and now if I go on activities, you'll see the activity which we created, right? Firstly, the activity which was the actual assignment, right? The one here, which is coffee machine is leaking. Then the one which we created saying we're on site, right? We created another activity saying we're on site, and then here the actual service rating, which you can see here, and the signature which we forged on the machine as well. So all the activities come in here as well in the system the way we have them. Firstly, you have the first one in terms of the assignment, which is on the service call based on the resource planner, and the on-site, and then the actual signature. Now, if you go on the effort tab, you'll see here the time which we spent is here as well. So the amount of time, the remark that we were on site. And now this is an aspect which for this to display in SAP, you need CORESUITE time, right? So here I have my different resource. If I go in here, you can essentially see all the different resources which I have in my system. Jason Butler, what are his regular working hours, what are costs related to him, and so on. So I can see all this information here on my different resources. And then if you remember, we had to select an effort type, right? So it actually gives me the option, am I doing labor, production, internal? You could, of course, add any type of labor or work in here or categories. But this is also something which, as you can see, ties into CORESUITE time so that you can all capture this information. Now, if I go into double click on this, it takes me into a detailed view of the time recording. You can see right here. So now I'm in the journal, and you can see here the microchips, the service call, what Jason Butler did. If I highlight this line, I'll get the details down here. So you can see this is the duration, this is the amount. And now, of course, in the expenses, I can see the travel expenses of 100, the Hotel Hilton remark, which we put in, and in the materials, the replacement item in machine as well. So I have all the details, the time, all the expenses, all the material, all the details put back into SAP. If I go on the working hour tab, this is where it's the working hour, right? How much did Jason Butler actually work, regardless of what he worked on. In the detailed view here, let me maybe max it for you, I can again see the details on all the different resources here, so I can go on the different resources, and in a weekly view, it gives me the weekly view of my resources. Now, what does this exactly mean in terms of once this information comes into SAP? Of course, what the whole purpose of this is that you can invoice the customers faster, right? That your service technician can give you the information this day, and you can invoice your customer. Now, assuming you have 15, 20, 30, 40 service calls a day, of course, you don't want to invoice all of them individually. So for this, we have a tool, if you do a right-click, the Billing Wizard. So the Billing Wizard allows you to invoice all your open service calls. You can see right here, in go, so you can see which target we want the opens, and after the action, they should be closed, right? So invoice open service calls, including the cost for the time spent on it, right, based on your resource worked on it, including essentially also your time and expenses and material and everything. So if I run through this wizard, if I go through next, it's now essentially going to list all my open service calls in the system right here. You can see here, I have all my open service calls. Usually the ones with red have material and the other ones have no material. And then if I click on next, it's very easily going to go here. Now, of course, you have to see I have, if it is red, that means I have to first also create a delivery for this particular service call. So it does make sure that your whole process stays correct, right? So we can go in here. I have the delivery. I can do A, and essentially now I'm ready. Oh, SAP flashed on me. But essentially now what this means is that I can go in and I can invoice all my open service calls. There's always been an issue, of course, running SAP on a Mac, but I had to do this so that you can essentially see your system right here. But the basic idea is you have much faster time to money. You can really go in, you can invoice, you can create expenses, material, dispatch, and you can invoice right on the same day with a billing wizard and do all the invoicing in one go. So that's kind of the whole service process.